It's a Tuesday night. You're scrolling through your phone, half watching TV, half browsing online. And then you see it. A pair of sneakers you've been eyeing for weeks. Or maybe it's a new laptop. Or an air fryer that keeps showing up in your Instagram feed. The price tag is $200. And honestly, $200 feels like a lot right now. But then you notice something right below the price. A little button. A little offer that feels almost too good to ignore. Pay just $50 today. Then 3 more payments of $50 over 6 weeks. 0 interest, 0 fees. And something in your brain just relaxes. $50. That's nothing. That's 2 dinners out. That's barely noticeable. You click confirm before you even finish the thought. Sound familiar? Here's what I want you to think about. That moment, that exact moment when your brain relaxed, that was not an accident. That was the product working exactly as designed. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why buy now, pay later might be one of the most financially dangerous things to ever feel this harmless. Buy now, pay later. You know the names. Afterpay, Klarna, Affirm, Sezzle. They're everywhere now. At checkout on Amazon, at the Nike store, at the pharmacy, at the grocery store. You can even split a $30 Amazon order into 4 payments now. And on the surface, it genuinely sounds reasonable. No credit card needed, no interest in most cases. Just split your purchase into smaller chunks and pay over a few weeks. What's the harm in that? The companies marketing these products are very good at making them sound like a budgeting tool. Like they're actually helping you manage your money better. Like breaking a $200 purchase into 4 $50 payments is somehow smarter than just paying $200. And tens of millions of Americans have bought that idea completely. In 2023, the buy now, pay later industry processed over $75 billion in transactions in the United States alone. The fastest growing demographic using it? People between 25 and 44. People who, by every measure, should probably know better, but don't, because the trap is that well designed. So what's actually going on here? What are these companies really selling? And why does something that feels like financial flexibility almost always lead to financial damage? Let's go deeper. To understand the buy now, pay later trap, you first need to understand one very simple but very powerful idea. How you pay for something completely changes how much of it you buy. This isn't opinion. This is behavioral economics research, and it has been proven over and over again. When you pay with cash, you feel every dollar leaving your hand. It's physical. It's immediate. It creates what researchers call the pain of paying. And that pain, as uncomfortable as it sounds, is actually your financial immune system working. It makes you ask whether something is really worth it before you commit. When you pay with a credit card, that pain gets reduced. The money leaves your account later, maybe weeks later, so your brain doesn't register the full impact in the moment. This is why studies consistently show that people spend more when paying by card versus cash. But buy now, pay later takes this even further. It doesn't just delay the payment, it shrinks it. It takes a $200 number and turns it into a $50 number. And your brain, which is not wired to think abstractly about future obligations, responds to the $50 number, not the $200 one. You're not buying a $200 product anymore. Emotionally, psychologically, you're buying a $50 product. And that changes everything about whether you say yes or no. Let's make this really concrete. Say you're standing in a store. Someone offers you a $200 jacket. You look at your bank account. You have $300 in there, and rent is due next week. You put the jacket back. That's your financial immune system doing its job. Now imagine the same jacket, same $300 in your account, but this time the tag says $50 today, then $50 3 more times. Suddenly, you have $250 left after this. That feels fine. Rent is covered. You buy the jacket. But here's the thing. You still spent $200. Your financial reality didn't change. Only the presentation of the number changed. And that change in presentation was enough to completely override your better judgment. That's the trap. And it gets worse. Because buy now, pay later doesn't just change how you feel about one purchase. It changes how you feel about every purchase. Once you've split 3 or 4 things into installments, you lose track entirely of how much is actually coming out of your account each week. You have $50 going to Afterpay on Fridays, $67 going to Affirm every 2 weeks, $33 going to Klarna, and suddenly your paycheck is disappearing into a maze of micropayments that you stopped paying close attention to weeks ago. Financial researchers have a name for this effect. They call it payment fragmentation. And it is one of the most reliable ways to cause people to dramatically overspend without ever feeling like they're doing anything wrong. Now, let's talk about what's really happening inside your head when you click that Buy Now, Pay Later button. Because this goes deeper than just math. There's a well-documented psychological concept called present bias. It basically means that human beings are hardwired to care far more about the present moment than the future. The benefit of having the jacket today feels enormous and real. The cost of 4 payments spread over 6 weeks feels distant and abstract. So when Buy Now, Pay Later shows you a $50 number today instead of a $200 number, it's not just showing you a smaller number. It's making the cost feel more future and less present. And your brain, running on millions of years of evolutionary wiring that never anticipated modern consumer finance, doesn't stand a chance. The companies behind these products know this. They have entire teams of behavioral psychologists and UX designers whose entire job is to make the payment feel as painless and distant as possible, while making the product feel as immediate and desirable as possible. Think about how Klarna presents itself. Pink branding, friendly language, words like smooth and flexible and stress-free. They are not presenting themselves as a debt product. They're presenting themselves as a lifestyle upgrade. And here's the piece that very few people talk about. Buy Now, Pay Later systematically targets the exact moments when your financial willpower is at its lowest. You're tired. You're browsing at night. You've had a long week. You deserve something nice. And right at that moment of weakness, the $50 option appears like a gift. This is not coincidence. E-commerce platforms and BNPL companies share data. They know what you browse. They know when you're most likely to purchase. And the integration of split payment options at checkout is deliberately placed at the highest pressure, lowest resistance moment in your entire shopping experience. You are not making a neutral financial decision when you click that button. You are responding to a system that has been engineered very carefully to produce exactly that click. Here's the bigger truth underneath all of this. Buy Now, Pay Later doesn't just cost you money. It costs you the habit of waiting. And the habit of waiting is one of the most underrated wealth-building skills that exists. Think about what happens when you can't split a purchase into payments, when you have to save up $200 before you can buy that jacket. In that time, something interesting often happens. You either decide it's worth saving for, which means you truly valued it, or you forget about it entirely, which means you didn't actually need it. Either outcome is healthy. Either outcome protects your finances. But Buy Now, Pay Later eliminates that waiting period completely. It removes the gap between wanting something and having it. And that gap, as uncomfortable as it feels in the moment, is where good financial decisions actually get made. The wealthiest people in America are not wealthy because they earn the most money. Many of them are wealthy because they are extraordinarily good at delaying gratification, at asking whether something is worth it before saying yes, at letting the want fade and seeing if it comes back before spending the money. Buy Now, Pay Later is the exact opposite of that mindset. It is an infrastructure built to make delayed gratification as difficult as possible. Because delayed gratification is the enemy of consumer spending. And consumer spending is what makes these companies billions of dollars every year. So, what do you actually do with all of this? First, let's be honest. Buy now, pay later isn't going to disappear. It's only going to get more embedded in how Americans shop. So the goal isn't to pretend it doesn't exist. The goal is to use it consciously instead of reflexively. Here's a simple rule that can protect you almost entirely from the BNPL trap. Before you split any purchase, write down the full price, not the installment amount. Then ask yourself one question. If this costs the full amount due today, right now, out of my checking account, would I still buy it? If the answer is yes, and you can genuinely afford it, then using BNPL as a cash flow tool is reasonable. Some people do use it responsibly that way. But if your honest answer is no, if the full number would stop you, then the installment plan isn't helping you afford something. It's helping you ignore the fact that you can't. And that's a very different thing. Second, do a BNPL audit on your accounts right now. Go look at every active payment plan you have running. Add up the total remaining balances across all of them. That number, the full, combined, real number, is your actual BNPL debt. Most people who do this for the first time are genuinely shocked by what they find. Third, if you're using Buy Now Pay Later regularly, consider building a simple 30-day rule for non-essential purchases over $100. If you still want it in 30 days, you can buy it. If the desire faded, and it usually does, you just saved yourself from a purchase you didn't actually need. Here's where I want to leave you. That Tuesday night we talked about at the beginning, the sneakers, the laptop, the air fryer, the $50 that felt like nothing. That moment was real. That feeling of relief when the big number became a small number, that's real too. It's human. It makes complete sense. But here's what else is real. Every time that $50 turned into a $200 purchase, you wouldn't have made otherwise. A company made money from your brain chemistry. Every fragmented payment draining your account on rotating Fridays is money that isn't going towards something that actually builds your future. And every purchase that felt painless in the moment is a tiny vote against the version of you that waits, thinks, and decides intentionally. The most expensive thing about Buy Now Pay Later isn't the late fees, though those are real too. It's the accumulation of hundreds of small financial decisions that never got properly evaluated, because the system was designed to make sure they didn't. You can't build wealth while being in a constant low-level loop of microdebt on things you barely remember buying. The path forward isn't complicated, it's just slower than a checkout button. And slow, it turns out, is exactly how wealth gets built. Think about that. If this video changed how you look at that split payment option at checkout, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to understand what to actually do with your money instead, we're covering that next.